me see. Oh, it's touchscreen, huh?
It's touchscreen, yeah. You can use that keyboard.
So I'm gonna pull up the Cash for College website on the screen here. If you have a laptop where you can actually use a non-Safari browser, I think that Internet Explorer or Firefox work the best. So Chrome doesn't work great. It has a lot of errors. You can try to use it. Frankly, I mean, it's a government website, so we do what we can. But if you're using your phone, you can find the My Student Aid app. That's the best way to do it on your phone. So everybody should have some means of doing this. But if you're on your phone, don't use a browser. Don't use the Safari browser or anything like that. You'll get kicked out of the FAFSA. But this one that I'll put up here, this one will be for anybody who has laptop. So it's, let's see, www.cash, number 4, college, .csac.ca.gov. So this one is really cool. Whoop, I didn't do it right. This one's really cool because it also has the DREAM Act application on there. It has the FSA ID button and the FAFSA and the Chafee grant application. So it has like every application for every type of person wanting any type of financial aid. So how do I make it go?
If you just hit the return key in the keyboard.
Nice.
Oh.
Oh, I misspelled it. I did.
And the Wi-Fi's.
Yeah. The Wi-Fi's not being good?
The Wi-Fi's a little slow. I found it a little
It's better if I do like this and not try to do the touch screen. So this is the Cash for College website. This is the one that I use most often because I like that it has every single option that you could possibly need to apply for. So FAFSA is free application for federal student aid. That's for all of us who have Social Security number, who are U.S. citizen and permanent resident. The FSA ID button at the top, that is FSA ID is your username and password for the FAFSA. For those of us who do not have Social Security number, or we're not U.S. citizen or permanent resident, but we have California residency, you can do that one, the CATA, the California DREAM Act application. So last week was UndocuAlly week, right? So CATA, in California, despite what the feds are doing, we believe everybody should have equitable access to resources for education, regardless of whether you have U.S. citizenship, whether or not you have documentation or not. So that's why we have CATA in California. Chafee grant application is for students who spent at least 1 day in foster care, I think between the ages of 13 and 16. That's an extra like $4,000 for our students who used to be former foster care. So you got that application, and there's a survey at the bottom. You don't have to worry about that because this isn't a real Cash for College event. So just the green buttons are the most important ones. And then this is going to be kind of free form. I'll answer a couple of frequently asked questions up here, but I'm really not going to take too long because the idea is just to get our FAFSAs done. You know, so all of us here who are dependent or otherwise under the age of 24, let's talk about dependency real quick. A lot of people talk about, oh, you know, I support myself. My parents don't support me, so I'm independent. That's not the rules for FAFSA, unfortunately, or DREAM Act as well. So the rules for FAFSA is they consider you dependent if you're under the age of 24, unless you're married, you have dependents you support, you've been in the military, you were formerly in foster care or guardianship. Guardianship meaning you were removed from your parents' home and placed in the care of a relative or friend of the family or something like that. If you can't answer yes to any of those types of questions, then you are dependent and you got to have your parents sign this FAFSA. So we're going to go through the whole thing as much as we can so that it's ready for your parents to just sign it, like maybe this evening if possible. Even if they don't live here, you know, you could tell them, hey, log on to FAFSA.ed.gov. Make sure your FSA ID is ready to go because we all have our FSA ID for logging in and signing the FAFSA. Our parents have their own. So at least one of your parents should have an FSA ID. They can go in and sign it. And if you have problems with that, I'll tell you how later today. In terms of those of us who are from divorced households where we may live with only one parent. So FAFSA has rules about who is the custodial parent. So there are 2 litmus tests for the custodial parent, and that's the only parent you have to provide information for. If you're from a student, if you're from either a divorced household or your parents were never married, just one parent, and it's usually the parent that you live with most recently, or it's the parent who provides more than 50% of your support. So if you're having trouble with that question, or you're not sure exactly how that works with your parents, or you're not sure, maybe you live with one of them more recently, or the other one provides more than 50% support, flag me down and I'll answer that question for you. And then, what's another? So some of us might have parents who are undocumented or not U.S. citizen. That's okay. You're still, if you have U.S. citizenship or permanent residency as the student, you still fill out the FAFSA. What we're going to do for your parents is just type all zeros, but then they can't have an FSA ID because that's all connected to your social security number and your birth date and everything like that. So they can't electronically sign, but we're going to probably end up going to the computer lab because I don't think we have a printer here, do we, Scott? No, we'll probably go to the computer lab, print them a signature page, and then they can sign it and mail it in. Anybody have any other questions that they'd like to maybe float to the rest of the group? Other people might have questions about? If not, no worries. That's pretty much the most frequently asked questions that I get, and we're just going to go for it and start completing applications. And I'll come around and check with everybody, make sure anybody doesn't have questions that they just want to ask me personally. All right? Oh, that's for this year. Nobody has received money for the ones we're doing right now.
Oh, okay.
We're doing FAFSAs for next year, for 2020, 2021. Okay? Because the idea of doing all this is so that we have your FAFSA in time for you to qualify for Cal Grant. The Cal Grant deadline is March 2nd. And I know that seems like it's really far away, but I try to get them all done actually prior to January 1st because in the beginning of the year, it's really tough. It's snowing. You guys have all new classes again. This is the prime opportunity to really get this done and get it over with. So everybody, we understand we're not doing the FAFSAs you already got the money for. We're not doing the FAFSAs for right now this term. We're doing FAFSAs for next year because you always want to do these things early because financial aid is first come, first serve. So if you're doing your FAFSA for fall 2019, in August 2019, you're late. You're real late, and you're not going to maximize your financial aid eligibility. So that's why we're doing it now for next year. Anybody else have any questions? If you do not have a phone or a computer, raise your hand. Just you? Would you like to go to the financial aid office and complete it at the computers down there?
Yeah.
Is that okay with
Or
you,
even the
Scott?
Promise Office. I think they
Promise
have computers
Office?
there now.
Yeah.
With the Promise Office.
That'd be awesome.
It's just right downstairs is food. It's the first office to your right. Yeah.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
All right, let's do it.